All right. Hi, everyone. I'm glad to see all of you. Thank you very much for joining our webinar. So first, a couple of words about technical issues. I will ask you to stay muted, yeah, to avoid any unwanted noises, right? Uh, Hello. Our form of communication will be via chat, so you all are able to send the messages, right? First of all, could you please type like yes or put a plus if you can see me and hear me well, and if you can see the screen? Great, thank you. Good. So from time to time, I will ask you some questions, or if you have the questions, you're welcome to ask them. So please type them. Unfortunately, if you choose the option to raise your hand, I will not be able to react to that. So it's better if you ask the question directly in the chat. Great. Okay. While we are waiting for more participants, could you please type? Yeah, I see that people have started typing where they are from. So could you please add also the names and the of cities and places you are from? Right. So here there are people from Lviv, Kiev, Ternopil region, Nikopol, right? Okay. Vasilkiv, Azerbaijan. Great. Welcome. Yeah, Lviv, Kremenchuk, Dnipro, Chernivtsi. Great. Okay. Wonderful. So many dedicated teachers wanting to um, develop professionally. Great. Okay, so I believe that we can get started and others will join us. Today I'd like to share with you some ideas and well, some tips, probably some practical things concerning how to teach lexically. Of course, it's not able to grasp all the aspects of this approach, but I will try to like provide you with some general ideas what it is like and like how we can approach to teach vocabulary lexically. Well, um, let me start the presentation. Yeah. Okay. So what are we going to talk about today? So first of all, a brief theoretical overview. That's a lexical view of the language and how the proponents of this approach view it. Then we will have a look with you at the stages of teaching lexically. Again, we will deal with how to teach vocabulary lexically. After that, yeah, we will look at some practical applications, I mean, the exercises, and we will also try to adapt some of the exercises so that you can also incorporate some aspects of this approach into your teaching. And we will also have a look at revision and recycling, why it is important and how we can do it in a meaningful way for the students. Great. Okay, perfect. So let's start with some names and some core ideas of the approach. The first name that you should know, like if we talk about lexical approach, that's Michael Lewis. And it all started in early 90s when he published his book, The Lexical Approach. And he argued that the language was primarily lexical, and he looked at grammar, or he considered grammar as rather a kit of rules, so a selection of rules that serve to link the meanings which are encoded in the words. And he treated the language in a very interesting way. He called it as grammaticalized lexis rather than lexicalized grammar. So the focus is still on lexis. So what was special about this approach, according to Michael Lewis? First of all, the focus should be made on the development of vocabulary rather than grammar. And here comes a central concept of lexical approach that we are talking about vocabulary not as separate words. We are talking them as meaningful chunks. So chunk, this could be a collocation, for example, have a rest, or this could be a fixed expression or semi-fixed expression. But anyway, words should be learned, should be taught in chunks, in meaningful chunks. And then in the process of further language use, so to say, these chunks can be adapted, they can be combined, they can be recombined according to various functions and purposes that learners have while practicing the language. So that's the central idea. Please remember that. So vocabulary is considered as not as single words, but as chunks that are meaningful and again, collocations, semi-fixed or fixed expression, collocation phrases. Talking about the pedagogical cycle, again, through the prism of the lexical approach, it is seen in a new light. So talking about the quite a traditional pedagogical cycle, we normally talk about presentation, practice, and production. Yeah, a well-known PPP framework. There can be some others, but well, in accordance with the lexical approach, the first stage is observing. So we observe the chunks and the words, how they are combined in the context, right? Then we hypothesize. In other words, students are encouraged to notice how the words are used, how the words are combined, what words they collocate with. So that is something that is called co-text of the word. And final experimenting, that's about practicing using the phrases in practice. Again, it's not about teaching or giving the rules why these words are combined with that. So it's more about noticing and then practicing, drilling, and then using, experimenting, using the words in speaking, in writing, while creating dialogues, and so on and so on. Then the preference is given to the texts. So the selected authentic texts are subjected to tasks that provide noticing, yeah, something that can be relevant to the stage of observing and hypothesizing, and manipulation of such lexical features as collocation, fixed and semi-fixed expressions. Yeah, here we talk about this experimenting phrase when we talk about manipulation. Okay. Okay, the other two names, the most recent ones that you again should know if we talk about lexical approach, that is Hugh, Dellar, and Andrew Walkley, teachers and teacher trainers from London. In 2016, they published the book that is titled Teaching Lexically, where they provide the readers with the information on the principles of how to teach the language lexically and not only the language. And they provide a wide range of the exercises on teaching vocabulary, grammar, all the skills lexically, like through the prism of this approach. They also highlight the principles and how these principles can be adopted by the teachers when they teach using their usual course books. Right, Hugh, Dellar, and Andrew Walkley state that the three main ideas that are at the heart of teaching lexically are as follows. First of all, that grammar and vocabulary are both taught better in the combination. We will a bit later look at how it works practically. The idea is that the grammar can be also and should be also learned in chunks as phrases which are suitable for a particular context. And what is more that, yeah, context is absolutely central, and that the classroom needs to be input rich. So there should be lots of inputs in which the learners will learn and do some exercises with the target language, and the input should be useful and meaningful for the learners. Okay, I'd like to get back to the first key point, that the grammar and vocabulary are both taught better in combination. So again, that's about learning the language in chunks and seeing how they can be combined and can be taught more effectively. Okay, so let's have a look at this formula. So that's quite a dominant approach in traditional approach to teaching the language, that, well, if we want our learners to use the language productively, it's just enough to learn grammar and words. So grammar plus word equals productive language. What does that mean? Again, from the point of view of traditional, so to say, language teaching, that the language can be reduced to a list of grammar structures. So it's enough to remember assert like past simple if I want to talk about the past. So verb to, yeah, or be going to if I want to talk about the plans or intentions. And what about the words? They can be just dropped into the slots of the grammar structure. That's it. And if we follow this view, then learning the list of words is all that is required, is just enough. And any word can be effectively used if it fits the slots of the grammar structure. So let's have a look at this example. So Dracula live in the UK, and well, we can put any slot here. So the as long as the word is negative. So, and we can say Dracula didn't live in the UK, doesn't live in the UK, mustn't live in the UK, or couldn't live in the UK, right? So basically any word fits here as long as it is negative, so to say. However, that's not enough for productive language if we want to produce some relevant response, or if we want to sound naturally. And one element here is missing in this formula. And if we talk about the lexical view of the language, so we should also add the element of skills. So, and then productive language consists of grammar plus words plus skills. So we want to communicate some idea, and that's central if we talk about productive language. Then another question comes. So what should be more important, grammar or words, if we want to communicate certain idea? And here what the elements of this approach say, that if learners want to be able to do things with the language, that is to communicate in terms of reading, listening, speaking or writing, that is to develop the skills, then communication depends more on vocabulary than on grammar. Let's have a look at the example. Let's imagine I want to say the phrase, I've wanted to see this film for ages. And so there are two important things. If we take grammar, then it's of course this present perfect structure. So have plus verb 3. And if we talk about the words, collocations, phrases, then we can talk about the chunk wants to see the film, right? And if we have to choose between want to see film or have plus I have plus verb 3, probably if we want to communicate the idea, we would rather give our preference to the vocabulary chunk, yeah, because this will help us to communicate our idea to the speaker rather than I have what. That's not clear. Even if we change the word order slightly, see one film, feel one see, still it will be more or less understandable to what we're going to say. All right. So what else is important? So as I have said, according to the lexical approach, again, that can be debatable, definitely. And you will probably, yeah, another important thing, you might hear lots of things here which can be debatable, which can be unusual, something that you would never do, but well, you don't need to. That's just another approach. Maybe you can incorporate something if that's useful for your students, and if that helps to address the needs of your learners in a more effective way. Well, so again, words have more value than grammar. Again, we are talking about grammaticalized lexis rather than lexicalized grammar. Then words generally come with their connected grammar. And this is the principle that is called colligation. For example, if we take the word arrest, oh, I'm sorry, just I wanted to type, yeah, arrest, I'm typing in the chat. Okay. Um, yeah, that's the verb. And if we think about the grammar, that it usually goes together with what do you think grammar structure it can be used with? So your ideas. If you have ideas, you're welcome to type. Okay. Exactly. Yeah. So we have two ideas here: to get arrested, to be arrested. Exactly, Marina. That's about the passive. Of course, we can find this word in the context as police arrested the criminal. No problem. But mainly we will see it as the passive, and very often it will be probably past simple or I don't know present perfect or something. Yeah. Good. Yeah, again, one technical issue. I saw that some of the participants raised their hand. Again, if you have any concern, doubt, question, it's better to type in the chat, right? So that I can react. Okay, thank you very much. Exactly. So then that is what we talk about, how words can be combined with the connected grammar. Again, that's called colligation. And again, I come back to the idea of learning vocabulary in chunks. So we often make chunks of the language and then they are stored in our memory. And if necessary, when we need to use them in the conversation, they are recalled as wholes, not as a separate word, have a rest or just rest. I already remember it as have a rest and I will use it as the whole chunk rather than I need to construct it again and again. So that's why we need to learn the language in the chunks. Good. Okay, so that's basically about the lexical view of the language. And now let's have a look about principles, how people learn. I'm going to show the stages of how the, let's say, new vocabulary or item of vocabulary is acquired. And I will ask you to put the stages in the logical order or in the order as it happens, right? Okay, there will be one point, again, one debatable point. I will talk about it a bit later. So let's have a look at this. So take some time, read the stages, and put the letters in the order as learning happens. And again, you are free to share your ideas in the chat. Yeah, take your time. Okay. Okay, thank you. Mhm. Right. Thanks a lot. Any other ideas? Interesting. Okay. Mhm. All right. I see. Okay. So yeah, I see that's mainly with. So all of you put D on the first place, hearing or seeing an example of the item in the context. Okay. Good. And then we have a variety of either doing something straight away, or paying attention to the item, noticing the feature, working with pronunciation, or working with the meaning. All right, interesting. Or first pay attention to the item and okay, good. Okay, I'll show you what again Hugh Dellar suggests in his book. Ready? Okay. First comes understanding the meaning of the item. Uh, Again, we will. I should say that this is done again in context. When we look at the exercises, you will have a better idea how it happens. But again, uh, when we talk about teaching the new words, again, they should appear in the context. Context again is central, and it's not just a phrase. It's a mini situation. It's a sentence. It's a dialogue exchange. But again, context is central. Then we hear or see the example of the item in the context. Again, here, what is meant is not about hearing or seeing it for the first time. Okay, thank you, Ina, for your comment. I will get back to it a bit later. Great. Yeah, so once the students have learned this word, and it's not about pre-teaching, it's not about teaching the vocabulary, then they hear the text or they read the text. That's kind of longer context, and where they see how this or that item functions, and students then can read or listen more effectively. Yeah, so that's about coming across the target language in longer contexts, right? Not just for the first time. Okay. Then, yeah, that's about approximating the sounds of item. We will talk about, yeah, working with pronunciation, basically. Then paying attention to the item and noticing its features. That's about form probably, or some other aspects of the item. Doing something that can be called controlled practice, semi-controlled practice, so using in a meaningful way. And finally, repeating all the steps over the time when encountering in other contexts. That's about revision and recycling. There was a very nice point from Ina concerning meaning from pronunciation. Absolutely agree with you. So we see that meaning comes first, and only after that we can do some kind of manipulation. I mean, drilling, working with the sounds, or providing the information on the form, what preposition it can be followed by, or what words it goes together with, and so on. Yeah, but meaning comes first, because it makes no sense to work on the pronunciation of the word which you don't understand. It might be really complicated, right? Well, it is possible, but it's not meaningful. It's not something that will address the student's need, and something that will not make the learning conscious anyway. Good. Let's have a look at this principle in detail, and again through the prism of the lexical approach. So when we talk about the understanding the meaning, again, the word appears for the first time in a context. So that can be a situation, a mini situation, the dialogue exchange, yeah, anything, so that the students, yeah, have an idea what it is, what it means, what it's all about. And then we go just beyond the just the usual, the lexical meaning of the word, and we sort of extend this meaning to collocations. For example, if we take the word friend, well, if we talk about the lexical meaning, yeah, so that's the person we know very well, and well, somebody we have close relationships with, and so on. So if we talk about collocations, yeah, something that we can teach the students. So we can talk about best friend, close friend, fair weather friend, or school friend. Or we can use the verbs, and we can become a friend, make friends with someone, or remain a friend, or have a friend. Then we can talk about genre and register. Yeah, for example, friend and body. So body would be an informal word. If we talk about the register, friend is quite a neutral one. And genre, that's the type of the text that this or that word may appear. For example, if we talk about the word body, we may come across it in the in an email, for example, yeah, or a text message. While friends can appear in a number of genres, right, from official to neutral and so on. Then we can talk about, while learning and teaching, antonyms, yeah, the opposite words or situational opposites. Well, here we can talk about the word enemy as the opposite to friend. Well, synonyms, some of them again can be situational. Well, companion or soulmate or buddy, pal, and so on. We can talk about learning or eliciting other words in related lexical sets. For example, if we talk about friends, It belongs to the lexical set of people we know. And this could be acquaintance, this could be colleague, or this could be relative, right? Or we can talk about some connotations. For example, friend is quite a neutral word. Crony would be disapproving. And we can even talk about the function and pragmatic use of phrase, let's say, right, or some other collocations. Again, it's important to go beyond the meaning of just lexical meaning, right, if we want to extend this. But again, do not be overambitious. Do not try to do that with every single word you have in the exercise. Well, select the ones that might be useful, that your students need. Well, something that might present the challenge, or again, something that is necessary to do right now. Right, okay, talking about the context, so can you suggest what kind of longer context or what kind of context we can talk about, so as to show how this or that vocabulary item functions? Again, can you type your ideas on this longer context we can provide our students with, so that they see how the words function? Right. Okay, yeah, thank you. Yeah, we have a very nice context about the students who knows or who knew 5,000 words and couldn't communicate. Yeah, I agree. So mechanical memorization does not make any sense. Memorization should be conscious and absolutely meaningful. And in order to be able to communicate, first we need to show how this word functions, do some manipulations, and then yeah, use them independently. Absolutely agree. Okay, getting back to the question of the context. Yeah, text for reading and listening. Perfect. Situation, dialogue, stories, videos, texts, stories. Yeah, my own story. Nice. Absolutely. Anecdotes that you can create. Yeah, thanks a lot. A skill of connected speech. Well, it's not quite the context. Andrew, what do you mean by picture? Could be, but in a talking about the picture, that's a nice example to clarify the meaning. But you can use the picture and basing on this create your story. Then it works. But if I just show the picture, I will clarify the meaning. However, I will not show how this word functions in the context. Right, but that's a very nice comment. Okay, perfect. Discuss what people see in the pictures. Yeah, nice. That's a good point. Right. Again, this kind of input is vital. Again, remember one of the key concepts of teaching lexically, that the classroom should be input rich. Input needs to be useful. Absolutely. Uh, Longer examples can be. These are the examples of reading, listening, text. Again, your personal story, anecdotes, which are usually more memorable, in which teachers provide the words and context. Right. Okay. And again, we can talk about extensive reading or listening, but again, working with this kind of context should be combined with noticing and conscious learning, right? Noticing, that's the stage from the pedagogical cycle connected with like observing and hypothesizing, right? And conscious learning. Great. Okay. Approximating the sounds of the item. So here we can talk about repeating the language, what's important in chunks or collocations where sound shapes might change. So drilling is a central part of teaching lexically, so to say. And but again, that's an important thing. According to this approach, teachers do not drink a single word, for example, rest. Well, you can do that if that's complicated, difficult to pronounce, for example, conscientious. Definitely, you will even need to break the word into syllables. Yeah, but still, ultimately, our task is to repeat the language in phrases. She is a conscientious student, let's say. And talking about the second part of this statement, that that's where sound shapes might change. Here we talk about the features of connected speech, which are also important. So we have to attract our students' attention to linking, catenation, elision, for example, yeah, cup of tea, or for I must have done it. Yeah, we don't I must have done it or used to. No, used to, or I used to like it, or I must have come late or something and something. Right, also important. Uh, then, well, students drill the language. Yeah, students drill the language, and again, it's impossible to drill every single phrase that is included in the exercise. And again, it's important for you as the teacher to select which language to drill in detail, in less detail, and some of the ideas that can help you is that you can drill the language the students might hear, for example, or might come across in the text, reading text, or this could be the phrase that students may need to say. So before the lesson, yeah, you need to kind of anticipate this and prepare your students for effective communication. Again, drilling is important because it is one kind of exposure to the language, and the more exposure to the language your students have, then the higher the chances are that they will learn and they will be able to use this chunk later in speaking or in writing. Again, another idea how you can do the drilling, that's drilling not just in the chunks, but in whole sentences, right? And this kind of drilling, whether in chunks or in the whole sentence, can be a useful tool if you have a mixed class ability. Yeah, the class with mixed abilities. For weaker students, you can offer offer him or her to repeat the chunk, right? If we talk about a stronger student, you can challenge him or her and ask to repeat the whole sentence. So that is also really useful. Okay, paying attention to the item and noticing the features. So again, we need to train our students to look beyond the single words. How? We can ask the students to notice the words that go together, right? For example, you can ask, yeah, there were 5 adjectives or nouns. Yes, okay, 5 nouns in the exercise. Can you see which adjectives they go together with? Right, then generating related words. That was the example with this lexical sets. Yeah, for example, if we have the words, we have a brother. What other relatives do you know? Okay, what's the common word for brother and sister? Oh, sibling. Right. Then drilling the variations in chunks. I've just mentioned that. Yeah, again, they will remember the chunks better. Yeah, conscious memorization of collocations so that we don't result in the situation when student knows 5,000 words and cannot speak at all. And another thing, well, this last statement deals with error correction. So superficial error correction will not be that useful, or this on-spot correction. We need to encourage our students to correct, to self-correct, and to reformulate the spoken or written outcome in such a way that students become more aware of the language. That's important. Good. Yeah. When we were talking about the doing things with the words, yeah, and it's a nice idea if you put the words on the board, because what will the student take with him or her after he leaves, like what kind of information? So this is the information that student has in the course book. And secondly, the student can write in the copybook or take the picture of what you write on the board. That's why we as teachers should not leave our boards empty. Yeah, don't keep them white. And again, that's another very, very typical feature of teaching lexically, lots of information on the whiteboard, right? So when we elicit this, well, collocations, synonyms, the words of the same lexical set and so on. And here there are 2 important considerations when we board the words. First of all, do not record a single word. For example, well, I have elicited fair-weathered friend, but don't write just fair-weathered. It's a good idea to write a fair-weathered friend. So write words at least in collocations, but ideally in the sentence so that students see how this word functions. And secondly, do not write definitions or rules on the board. Again, that's not applicable. For example, if you want to teach your student the chunk keep fit, yeah, you can elicit, for example, how do you keep fit? What do you do to keep fit? And your students can say, okay, I do yoga to keep fit, or I go to the gym to keep fit. Yeah, and you can write the whole sentence. So I keep fit by doing yoga, or I keep fit by going to the gym. So that's something that we should put on board to for our students to remember and to take with them to practice at home. Yeah. So you can also take the picture of the board for you to know what to revise with these students. All right. Good. Okay, then we come to the fifth stage. That's doing something with the items, some kind of controlled practice, using them in some way. How can we do that? Again, this could be drilling. And drilling is not only about practicing pronunciation. We can use substitutional drilling. Yeah, for example, you want to learn the jobs with your students, right? Well, she is a lawyer. Okay. Engineer. He's an engineer. Teacher. He's a teacher. Or something and something. Good. Answering teacher-led questions. Yeah, a bit later we will see what kind of questions can be used to make again our learning more meaningful. Creating your own examples. So students can create their own examples just to see how this or that word functions. Then this can be used in speaking or while making dialogues or while providing the students with extended writing tasks. All of this is absolutely possible to practice during this controlled, semi-controlled, or freer practice. Right, absolutely. Okay. And finally, the last stage of this cycle is repeating the steps over time when encountering the item again in other contexts, right? Okay. So in such a way, we encourage conscious memorizing and learning. We repeat, so we can do it by repeating speaking tasks from previous lessons to see how much students remember. We can revisit even the tests that students have done before. That's also nice. And we can do regularly revision activities in class. Okay. And there where we come to, that's revision and recycling. So before we move on to this, my dear participants, do you have questions concerning this cycle of how we learn? Again, remember that this is done through the prism of the lexical approach. Again, you can do it definitely different in a bit different way. That's fine. Not yet. Okay, thank you. So, well done. Thanks a lot. Okay, talking about revision and recycling. Why do you think these two things are important? Why do we need to revise and recycle the materials we have learned with our students, especially if we talk about vocabulary? Can you share some of your ideas? Perfect. Yeah, that's obvious. Thank you, Julia. Students can just forget the words easily. Nice. To reinforce. Very good. Yeah, repetition is the mother of learning. Nice. To make them actually use it. Very good. Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, and we need this we need to make these words active. We need to activate them. Right. Okay. Nice. I like the idea of making passive vocab active. Right. Sure, to connect with the previously learned vocab. Absolutely. All right. More information to remember. Yeah, as Hugh says, to keep them busy. I like this definition or like reason for recycling. Yeah, absolutely. To have more information so that the students have more information to remember to keep their minds busy. Exactly. First of all, yeah, I agree with all of you. So that learning is not linear. That's the first explanation, that students tend to forget the words, and so then it's a good idea to do it kind of circles to get back to the target language again and again. Then another thing is that, well, yeah, to keep them busy. Agree. And I guess you would agree with me if I said that our course books unfortunately do not provide lots of activities for recycling and revision. And yeah, that's important to keep this vocabulary, like, so to say, fresh and connected with new vocabulary that they learn. Absolutely right. So, how can we do that in an effective way? So we can provide our students with the gapped exercises when we remove the keywords and see if they can remember them. But before we do that, it's important. So if there was some new vocabulary, and or if there were some emergent phrases, or you sort of went beyond just the lexical meaning and the vocabulary that was in the course book, make sure that students write them down, these words, in their copybooks, or send them the photos of the whiteboard, so that the students know what chunks you're going to recycle and revise. Well, they should know what they have to learn in the first place. So don't make this surprise. Okay, now let's revise what. Okay, then, well, this is interesting, and that can be really debatable. You can translate expressions into L1 to see if students remember the English equivalent. Well, lexical approach pays a lot of attention to the role of L1 in the classroom. Again, according to lexical approach, it's allowed, and teachers can make use of this connection between the target language students learn, let's say in English, and their equivalents in L1. Yeah, that's possible. But there is one important consideration. When we, like, again, lexical teachers translate expressions in L1, it's not about separate or single words. It's about the translation of a chunk or a sentence. Again, to remember how this functions. Good. Then you can get back to the words 2 weeks later. For example, you can give a list of chunks, or you can give the sentences with these chunks, and you can ask students to tick the words they have forgotten and ask them to walk around and ask if anyone can help them with the words. So in such a way, students can teach each other. So we can talk about this peer teaching. Again, this can make the learning more conscious and more memorable. Yeah. So because if you explain it yourself, you will remember. Right. You can cut the sentences in half and ask students to match. Yeah. Again, they will need to combine the chunk. So also a nice idea. And you can use Quizlet. I'm sure that you know about this application, a very nice one. If we want to practice the definitions, the pronunciation, and the chunks they can go with. So that's absolutely nice. Okay, right. Good. So that's why recycling is absolutely important. Do that. Good. All right. So now let's have a look at the exercises and see how these principles can be practically applied to the learning, to the real learning. And if you want to find more exercises within the framework of teaching lexically, I recommend this course book, Outcomes, which was designed, created by Hugh, Dellar, and Walkley, and like the second, Innovations. That's also this is also the textbook that goes in accordance with the lexical approach. Right. So that's the first time that when students see the target vocabulary, you can see that the topic is feeling. It's not of the exercise. There are 10 sentences all together, And you see that students already see the target vocabulary in short situations. And well, but these situations are like enough to understand if it's a positive meaning or not, and they can match with the basic meaning. For example, yeah, we left at 6 and we didn't get back till midnight. I was exhausted. I can understand that I was like really tired. Or for example, if we talk about 3, she was absolutely furious when she saw the mess that they made. We can understand that at least we talk about some negative emotions, right? And normally when we see the mess that somebody has made in our place, we will feel probably angry or at least annoyed, but not happy or not tired or worried or sad, right? So that is what that is how students see the target vocab. And again, here we ask them to match to the basic meaning, right? What happens next? So at this stage, by the way, when they see these words, yeah, we can check if they understand the meaning, and we can work with pronunciation. For example, exhausted, not exhausted or whatever, or stressed, not stressed. Yeah, and then we start working, we start hypothesizing, and we encourage actually noticing, right? For example, the first question deals more with the form. Yeah, so find 5 prepositions connected to the adjectives. And yeah, if we get back to the previous slide, we can say, okay, pleased with, then stressed about, guilty about, yeah, and I'm in a good mood or something. Right. Yeah, good. Then, and questions from 2 to 8 deal with going beyond the lexical meaning and sort of extending the meaning. And I would like you to look closer at the questions from 2 to 8 and tell me 2 things that you notice about the questions. So have a look at them, and when you're ready with your ideas, please type them in the chat. So 2 things that you notice about the questions. Okay. I'm already receiving the answers. I will not contact them, comment on them right now. Okay, nice comments. Yeah, great. Okay. Well, it's not actually free practice yet, but yeah, the last point was fine. Right. I'm waiting for some more comments. Prepositions, yeah, but that's mainly about the first question. What about the others? Okay. Okay, yeah, thank you. So all of your ideas are very nice. So I'll briefly comment on your ideas. Yeah, first of all, these are WH questions so that the students can answer and they can use the question from the previous exercise, the target language, special questions. Yeah, absolutely right. Second point that most of you have mentioned is that these are the questions students can relate to. There is a connection with their personal experience, so they can share their personal experience. Absolutely right. And by the way, if you look at questions 4 and 5, here we talk about some situations which are not quite pleasant. Then the subject is not you, but it's someone. Yeah, well, we'll talk. Yeah, personalization is fine. Yeah, if we want, remember, if you want your students to talk, ask personalized question. Exactly. So these are WH question, and so that the students can answer. And first of all, you can really see if the student understands or not. And secondly, they may use the words from the exercises. For example, why might you feel exhausted? Well, because I worked really hard, because I worked, the job was physically hard, something and something. We walked for a long time. Yeah, or why might someone get upset? Because they lost the job, because they, whatever, they failed the exam, because they got divorced, something and something. Again, absolutely. Right, okay, so What happens after that? Then comes a longer context. So after the students have understood the meaning of the target vocab, comes listening. And again, the previous exercises were not pre-teaching. That was actually teaching of the target vocabulary. So we do the listening. They listen to the conversations when people talk about their friends, and they need to understand how these people feel. And some of them will feel exhausted, the other person will feel upset or a bit down, and so on and so on. So they will be able to recognize the words. Then there will be second listening when students need to catch more details about why the three people felt that way. And again, yeah, do you remember the questions from exercise 2? For example, why might someone feel upset? And you can actually, the students may actually use this word, or the teacher can help them with the word, so that students can be prepared while listening, and they can actually listen more effectively. What comes after that? Well, some kind of freer practice when we discuss some questions closely connected with the listening. Okay, then in the course book comes grammar. And I have a question. So if we talk about feelings and emotions, what kind of grammar can go together with this target vocabulary? Again, if you have the ideas, please type them in the chat. Present simple, okay. Conditionals, nice. Okay, actually, talking about the grammar here, there will be some verbs. And can you think what kind of verbs can go really well with emotions? Readable and readable. Yes, this could be the aspects. Stative. Any other ideas? Right. Modal verbs could be. Any other ideas? Gerunds. Okay. You know what was get annoyed like this. Okay, possible. Participles. Okay. Tricky question. Well, so we can talk about linking verbs. For example, be, look, seem, feel, yeah, and so on, how they are used in a variety of tenses. So she seemed a bit down, she looks as if she might cry, and so on, and so on. Yeah, again, there may be exercises, well, controlled practice, and as you can see here, yeah, ed-ing, perfect. Yeah, that will be a suitable grammar aspect here, absolutely agree. So stressed, yeah, or disappointed, a bit down. These were the words that we practiced in exercise 1. So it's all recycled. Grammar is taught together, is taught together with the vocabulary to reinforce and again to make the learning memorable and more conscious, so to say. Okay, good. Now, getting back to the questions that we can practice to extend the meaning, you have noticed two very important aspects. That first of all, we make questions open, or at least you can add a follow-up question so as our students do not just say yes or no, so that they can extend the meaning. If we have very frequent words, you can base the question on various collocations. For example, the word friend, it's quite a frequent one, but we can make a question concerning school friends. Another could be connected with fair weathered friends or remain a friend. So that's nice. So think about the collocations you would like to practice and ask different questions. The point that, yeah, you have mentioned about personalized questions, which relate to students' experience, emotions, or thoughts. However, very often we can see the situation when the questions are too sensitive or students lack life experience if we talk about teenagers, yeah? So the work-related questions may not be that applicable to their situation. In such a way, you can use the status, like, do you know anyone who? Or have you ever heard of stories in the news where or when or something? Personally, I don't like personalized questions connected with the crime situations. Maybe I am superstitious a little bit, but if I see the question, if you got to prison, would you? No, I would say if someone got to prison, would they? Yeah. All right. Again, think how these questions, if these questions will be like applicable to your situation or not. Okay, good. Now over to you. Yeah. So let's have a look at the like exercise. So very often in the course books, we can see single word exercises, so to say, when there is no context, even the minimal one. We are given a list of words, and what can we do? So normally we can ask students to match words with the definitions, sort the words out into groups, choose the word one out, match the word to the opposites or synonyms. But in this way, we don't go beyond this lexical meaning and we don't extend this meaning. So what can we offer to our students? And that's something that you can use from the lexical approach. So first of all, think which items need more time to practice, right? Then think how you would like to practice the items. Then provide students with the context. Yes, you can just show the picture to clarify the meaning, that's fine. Think about what collocations you can add and what extra information you can add, right? Or what questions you can ask. For example, if we talk about these questions, which words can you clarify, for example, with the help of the picture? So can you type the number of the words in the chat? Scar, nice. Yeah, I have a scar, for example, on my head. I can show, yeah, look, this is a scar. 6, nice. You can even bring the helmet if you ride a bicycle. 4, angry. Yeah, you can even mime, like, no problem. Screaming, showing the picture, don't scream at your students. Exactly, right. Then if we talk about fine, yeah, it's a good idea to provide them with the situation. For example, you know, my friend got fined last week for speed driving, you know, or doing something illegal. Student will understand, yeah, the friend did something illegal. Right, okay, if we talk about the questions, yeah, this like WH personalized questions. So let's take the word, for example, helmet. And can you think of the questions that we can use to extend the meaning of the word and go beyond just lexical meaning of the word? Okay. Oh, great. Thank you, Marina. Yeah, nice. What is it used for? Right. Okay, good. Exactly. Probably, yeah. Guys, agree with you. Absolutely. Okay, but that's the question. Do you wear a helmet? The student will simply say yes or no. But it's a good idea then to ask a follow-up question. Why is it important to wear a helmet when you go by bike? In which country? Well, possible, but I'm not sure if it will extend the meaning. So to say, yeah, probably it would be better to ask, like, why do we wear a helmet? Or, for example, in what situation? Or, yeah, using what, and so on and so on. That's right. Or, for example, scream. Again, we can ask, why do people scream when they feel pain or when they're angry or something and something? Yeah, absolutely right. Good. We're talking about define. Um, Yeah, perfect. When is it important to wear helmets? Exactly. Okay, on quarantine. Nice. Okay, good. All right. Fine. Okay, nice. Thank you, Marina. That's a good example. Can you get fined if you don't wear a helmet? Yes. Or you can actually ask a question, what can happen if you don't wear a helmet? You can get fined. Right. Okay. Or, yeah, just an extra question. Good. And you can ask, how much do you normally get fined if you wear a helmet? Absolutely right. Good. Thank you very much. Great. Okay, so that basically brings me to the end of the webinar. If you have any questions, you are free to ask me. No? Okay, then a couple of things that, yeah, how many types of helmets? Yeah, thanks a lot. Right, okay. And yeah, a couple of things that I'd like to tell you about our center. So first of all, we Great Education Center have a huge program of teacher training. So we offer lots of courses. You can see CELTA, Delta, all three modules, CELTA and CELT-P, depending on what students will get certificate. Yes, you will get certificate for this training, absolutely. Okay, then you can see that we provide the all possible formats. That's CELTA Online, CELTA part-time or CELTA full-time, Delta Module 1 preparation course, support with Delta Module 3. Yeah, so feel free to get in touch with us concerning this. Then we are the biggest, the largest center, exam center in Ukraine. We are platinum center of Cambridge exams. So your school can become the official prep center. Now we have more than 100 official prep centers and more than 4,600 candidates take Cambridge exams with us. So we provide exams for children, teenagers, and adults. Again, find out more information here. Right. And well, stay in touch with us. Thank you very much for participating. Oh, thanks a lot. No, great. Yes, you will be provided. Yeah, no worries. As the feedback, yeah, kind of not feedback, but follow up to this event, you will be provided with the certificates and you will be provided with the slides of the presentation so that you can make use of it. And thanks a lot. And I hope to see you in the future in the events of our center. Please like see, yeah, and there will be more other professional development events and many other events from our center. Okay, thanks a lot again, and let's stay in touch and have a wonderful day. Thank you.